Howdy peeps, and welcome back to the channel. I'm very excited to have you back here with me today. As always, you know, I get real jazzed about these videos. This one isn't really any different, to be honest. We are going to be going down memory lane today a little bit. So the watch today that we're covering, which you already know what it is from the title, is going to require just a little bit of foreground and a little bit of background, and it's a little bit of a story time. So we'll jump right into that in just a moment. It's been real fun to revisit this piece. You know, I will say, not my favorite piece these days, but real fun nonetheless, and I hope you have a good time going through it with me as well. Quick wrist check. We are actually wearing a Casio, you know, surprise, surprise. I'm very predictable most of the time, you'll find. Creature of habit. So today we're wearing a Casio. It is a calculator watch, so a stone cold classic. I'll throw up a little bit of an insert image so you can actually see it in more detail. But, you know, do you even need to see the picture? I doubt it. It's a pretty famous piece, I guess. Well known throughout the lands. But yeah, so I love this piece. It's one I like to kind of slap on the wrist from time to time. Yeah. It kind of gives me this vibe like that I'm waiting for a future that has already happened, but wasn't the one we were thinking it was going to be. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting a little poetic. It is getting a little bit late at night, so. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Recently, I've been going through a pretty painstaking / tedious process of cataloging my collection in a very nerdily detailed and really extra Google sheet, which involved going through all of my past purchase history on various sites, pulling out every watch I own from little storage containers, taking pictures of each one, making notes, etc. And that's what brought me back to this piece. I can distinctly remember having only a couple of watches years ago, watching videos, seeing folks talk about the Timex Weekender, which is what we're talking about today. So little horologically ignorant me jumped online and snagged this little duder. As time has gone by, it's mostly languished in a box, I have to admit. But even so, when I look at it, I can still feel a glimmer of that early excitement for a new watch, for this particular watch even. It's a feeling I haven't lost per se, but one that's changed over time along with my tastes and preferences. All that being said, I also consider this watch a great opportunity to not exclusively just gush about a watch. You know, like so far on the channel, the watches I've been featuring are all part of my personal collection. I don't see that changing much in the future. That was a big impetus behind the channel, is to, you know, kind of showcase and talk about my collection, to have that outlet. So, you know, naturally, they're usually pieces I like quite a bit. But with distance, a lot of my earlier enthusiasm led to some watches that just don't quite do it for me the way they might have in the past. This Weekender is one of those. So, you know, let's take a look at what we got, though. I can't front on this watch, even if I have some bugaboos with it. The Timex Weekender was and is a classic, a simple, affordable piece with a lot of versatility and utility. You gotta have that known. There are so many options available to you today. On a cursory glance, I don't think this particular reference is still available, but there are plenty to fill in the gap readily available online and otherwise. You can find Timex all over the place. You can practically find Timex, you know, on the ground when you walk out the door at big box retailers like Walmart and Target, places like that. I'm not totally sure what my younger self saw in this one, but I do have some guesses. I think I caught into the boldly colored single pass strap and the also bold gold tone case. The common varieties seem to be in 38mm or 40mm case sizes. This one's the former, so, you know, go past me for not committing that easy fresh collector mistake of choosing a big honking uncomplimentary size. Let's get some more stats on the board here. On that original strap, which is kind of thin and flimsy, we've got a weight of 46.2 grams, thickness of 9.8 millimeters, a lug width, a nice versatile lug width of 20 millimeters, a lug to lug of 45.7 millimeters, and the previously mentioned 38mm case size. Overall, pretty unobtrusive on paper. Obvi, the color scheme makes it more conspicuous on the wrist though, so keep that in mind. The dial could hardly be more legible. Black, printed Arabic numerals, including the 24-hour markers, on a white dial, and it gets the job done. The minute track is printed on a sloped inner bezel and adds some noticeable depth and dimension to the piece. Branding is minimal here too, always a plus in my book. Just Timex at the noon and Indiglo at the 6. And you got a pretty uniform gold tone handset. Nothing to write home about, but fitting the aesthetic with the case. Speaking of the case, it is gold tone over base metal with a stainless steel snap-on case back. Polished all over with skinny wire style lugs. Plenty of clearance for a Nato strap, which I def appreciate. Always kind of frustrating when you have a strap friendly piece like this one without a lot of clearance. And it doesn't have too much clearance either, so a nice little sweet spot. Not a problem here at all. Even my thicker single pass nylon straps, which you've been seeing a lot throughout the video, they slip through pretty easily without removing the spring bars, which I'm, thankful for. And let us not forget that perennial, totally boss Timex calling card. Of course, I'm referring back to that Indiglo, which is just plainly a dope feature, and something that really separates most of their watches from other watches in the pack. Okay, now that we have kind of a thorough accounting of the piece, what are we thinking these days? Honestly, it's not a piece I'd order today, but I think that's more to do with the aesthetics of this particular reference and my greater affinity for other models from Timex, which I don't happen to own. When I look at the Weekender, iconic as it is, I can't help but compare it to a slew of other watches. Some of those watches are from Timex. Very recently, I've been smitten with their collab with the fashion brand Adsum. It's a variant of their popular MK1 series of field watches. Sadly, it sold out in like 2 seconds. I had to blame myself on that one. I was kind of hesitating because of the price, which I do think is a little high for what it is. Alas. But the MK1 is a solid series. Then you've got another icon in the Easy Reader. You can channel your inner Hank Hill with that one. Somehow it out-basics the Weekender, which is really no mean feat. I've also been kind of flirting with snagging this quote-unquote women's mini field watch in the Expedition series. I hate gendering these watches, but it is a smaller piece that is quite attractive in my book. A lot to love with the Timex catalog. I'm not even opening the box of beautiful worms from the Q series, or even really getting into some of their mechanical offerings that they've been putting out of late that are just really rad too. I'm also going to throw up a little comparison with a couple of analog Casio references that could serve as a substitute if you prefer, all on the same affordable level. I just noticed taking the video that the little white dial Casio needs a new battery, so that's my bad, y'all. Oops. I do think ultimately with a better strap attached, the Weekender does ball out. Just a smidge. It's a clean and easy wear at a price that can't be argued with, I think. But choose your own adventure if you're considering a very affordable, simple watch for everyday time telling. You got options. I'm curious to hear what's your go-to that might fit that label. Hit me up in those comments. I'm going to close it out there, y'all. Thanks a bunch for watching. I do appreciate it. Hope you're having a rad day wherever you are. Stay tuned if you want to see some more small watches. See you next time.